Something's brewing in Pittsburgh, and it's not just another preseason storyline. Gabe Davis is back. Yes, back again, for another visit with the Steelers, and this time, something feels different. You remember his last trip in May, right? Let's not sugarcoat it. It didn't exactly go according to plan. There was interest, sure, but it fizzled out quickly. Now here we are in August, and Davis is walking back through the doors of the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex. But this time feels serious. The Steelers are officially back from Latrobe, and you can feel the shift in energy. No more dorm rooms. No more fans cheering every routine route or warm-up stretch. No more Instagram-perfect backdrops of rolling hills and blue skies. It's business now. It's gritty. It's focused. The pads are cracking a little harder. The drills are a little sharper. And behind the scenes, Omar Khan is working the phones like a man who knows there's unfinished business in that wide receiver room. Let's not dance around it. The wide receiver situation in Pittsburgh is still very much unsettled. The blockbuster trade for DK Metcalf? That shook the NFL to its core. George Pickens, once seen as the next great Steelers wideout, shipped out to make room for the physical freak that is Metcalf. That move? That was loud. That was bold. That was franchise-altering. But it didn't complete the puzzle. It just solved the biggest piece. Because behind Metcalf, there's a lot of uncertainty. A lot. Calvin Austin was expected to step into a big role this year. A huge role, actually. The coaching staff clearly sees something special in him, and the opportunity is right there. But an abdominal tear has kept him sidelined for nearly a month now. That type of injury doesn't just nag. It lingers, and it can zap your burst, your flexibility, your ability to open up and go. He was spotted doing some side work at practice, which looked promising. There was movement. There was purpose. It wasn't just standing around or jogging laps. But when he was asked about a return, he gave nothing. No date. No timetable. Just a vague handoff to the medical staff and Coach Tomlin. That's never what you want to hear, especially when you're counting on a guy to be a consistent weapon. Now put yourself in his shoes. You got a prime opportunity in front of you, a revamped defense, a coaching staff that believes in you, a fan base buzzing for breakout performances, and you can't get on the field. That's got to be maddening. And he's not alone. Behind Metcalf, every single other receiver on this roster carries a question mark. Whether it's injury, inexperience, age, or just plain inconsistency, there's no obvious answer behind WR1. Let's talk Roman Wilson. Rookie flash. Big catches in the preseason. Highlight grabs that make the rounds on social media within minutes. And sure, there's excitement there. There's potential, but there's also realism. Is he ready to be a true number 2 in the NFL? Ready to step up if Metcalf tweaks a hamstring in week 4 and suddenly you're looking for a go-to-target on 3rd and long? That's a different level of pressure, and right now, Roman's still proving himself. Then you've got Robert Woods. Experienced, savvy, but let's face it, the tread on the tires is showing. He's 33. That's not ancient, but it's not young either, especially not in a league where the defensive backs are getting faster and more physical every year. He was out there in the 4th quarter of a preseason game. That's not exactly a glowing endorsement of his current standing. That's usually what you do when you're trying to help a veteran put a few good reps on film for another team. A quiet handshake that says, we'll give you one last shot to show something before cuts. Scotty Miller? Probably hanging around that same part of the depth chart. Quarterbacks seem to like him as a safety valve, and he does a decent job in the slot. But his ceiling? Let's be real. You catch the ball, and you're hit immediately. There's no yards after catch magic. No explosiveness that scares a defense. He's reliable, not dynamic. Ben Skoranek? Easily the best blocking receiver in that group. And hey, blocking matters. Especially in an offense that's expected to lean on the run game and grind out tough yards. He's physical. He's versatile. But again, he was banged up recently. Didn't play in the last preseason game after that joint practice with Tampa Bay. He was back out there in practice this week, moving well, getting involved. When asked how he felt, he gave the standard, "I'm fine." You know how that goes. That's the response every football player gives, right up until they're ruled out Friday afternoon. So when you look at this group, from top to bottom, the picture becomes clear. It's Metcalf, and then a foggy mix of potential, age, and injury. That's not the kind of support you want behind your star receiver. And that's where Gabe Davis enters the conversation again. Let's talk Gabe for a second. 26 years old, still in his physical prime. And say what you will about his inconsistencies. The man has produced at the NFL level. He's got big games under his belt. He's got tape that makes you raise your eyebrows. And yeah, he's torched the Steelers before. That matters. You remember those games. You remember how he got behind defenders, how he high-pointed balls in the red zone. You remember the frustration of watching him dance in the end zone. That memory? It sticks. Now, here's the twist. Earlier this week, Davis opened up on a podcast about the knee injury that derailed his 2023 campaign. And this wasn't just a sprain or soreness. We're talking a torn meniscus and PCL suffered in Week 17 with the Bills. He tried to get it out. Signed a big deal with Jacksonville. 3 years, $39 million. The Jags took a chance, but it never clicked. He said by Week 10, he was finally starting to run properly again. Then he took a cut, felt a pop in the knee, and that was it. Done. Just like that. Jacksonville was done with him too, eating over $20 million in dead cap. So why now? What's changed? Why is Pittsburgh interested again after passing on him in May? Well, we can read between the lines here. Nobody, especially not a front office as calculated as the Steelers, brings a player back in without some new medical intel. That means Davis has likely submitted updated scans, clean reports, and some indication that his knee is back to where it needs to be. Maybe not fully 100%. Few knees ever are after an injury like that, but healthy enough to contribute. And now he's in town again. Arrived last night. At some point today, he'll walk through the Steelers' headquarters, likely undergo another battery of tests, evaluations, and physicals with their own medical team. They'll study everything, compare scans, run him through movement assessments. Then it's decision time. So yeah, this is still a risk. Bringing in Davis isn't a sure thing. But compared to what Jacksonville did, handing out big money with hopes and prayers, this is a much smaller gamble. The Steelers aren't signing him to be WR2. Not right away. The goal is depth. Insurance. A backup to Metcalf who can replicate some of his skill set in case disaster strikes. Someone who's done it before. And if Davis can show enough in workouts and meetings, and maybe even the final preseason game, then yeah, he might just make this roster. That's the line Omar Khan is walking right now. It's all about balancing potential with reliability. And while the ceiling on Davis is high, the risk needs to be managed. Maybe he ends up in a supporting role. Maybe he rotates in as needed. But he's another piece in a puzzle that still has plenty of gaps. Meanwhile, the team is still crossing their fingers that Austin gets right. That Wilson keeps rising. That someone in that cluster of role players can step forward and separate. Because if none of that happens, if Austin stays hurt, if Wilson hits the rookie wall, if Woods fades, if Miller stalls out, then suddenly you're back to square one. And the offense can't afford that. The truth is, behind Metcalf, nothing is guaranteed. That's why Davis is back. That's why these decisions in mid-August carry more weight than they usually do. Now, let's get into the part that's had fans fired up on social media, in the comments, and probably yelling at their TVs during the preseason. Rock Taylor. Yeah, we got to talk about it. The guy became a fan favorite almost overnight. And now that he's been released, or at least looks like he's on the way out, people are losing it. The reactions are passionate, emotional, and in some cases, kind of over the top. But I get it. When a guy like Rock Taylor flashes in a couple preseason moments, makes a few contested catches, and carries himself like a guy with a chip on his shoulder, it's hard not to root for him. Especially when he's undrafted. Especially when he's got a name like Rock, which might be one of the most football-ready names of all time. No C, just ROC. You hear that name and think, yeah, that guy's got to hit somebody. But let's take a step back and look at the full picture. Because as great as a few plays in the preseason can feel, that's not what the coaching staff is looking at. That's not what decides who makes the roster and who doesn't. They're watching everything. Every drill, every snap in team periods, every rep in 7-on-7s, every mistake in the film room, every missed block, every false step in special teams practice. And if we're being honest, by those standards, Rock Taylor just didn't do enough. He had his moments. No one's taking that away from him. But over the full 3 weeks at St. Vincent College, there just wasn't that consistent presence you want from a guy trying to steal a spot. There wasn't a rhythm to his camp. He wasn't stacking days. He wasn't climbing the depth chart. And yes, it's disappointing, especially when you see the flashes and the size and the contested catchability. But this league is brutal. It's a business. And the margin between roster lock and camp cut is razor thin, especially at wide receiver. Now, there's a bigger conversation here, and it's about how certain undrafted guys just catch fire with fans every year. It's a cycle. It happens on every team, every single summer. A guy comes out of nowhere, plays well in the Hall of Fame game, gets talked up by one beat writer, or makes a viral grab in a clip that hits Twitter, and suddenly the fan base is all in. Last year, it was someone else. Before that, Jaylen Warren earned it. And I mean earned it. Before him, it was Mike Hilton. Those were real stories. Legitimate underdog triumphs. But the truth is, for every Hilton or Warren, there are 20 Rock Taylors who flash and fade. And look, I'm not trying to knock the guy. He might still make it somewhere else. There's always the practice squad. There are always injuries around the league. You show just enough on tape, and someone might take a flyer on you. But in this camp, on this team, with the depth chart already feeling crowded and still incomplete, Taylor just didn't separate himself enough. Now compare that to someone like Brandon Johnson, third-year NFL receiver. Not a lot of buzz around his name, not much chatter from the fan base. No sexy backstory, just a quiet, mature pro who knows how to run routes, block, and do his job. That's not exciting. That's not going to light up your Twitter feed. But that's the guy who's been climbing. That's the guy who's been earning trust. And when Mason Rudolph hit him with that touchdown in the preseason, it was because Johnson was in the right place, ran a clean route, made the adjustment, and finished the play. Simple. Effective. The kind of play coaches love. I had a quick conversation with Johnson recently. Nothing groundbreaking, just a guy who's locked in, focused, and knows what's at stake. He knows his window to make the roster is small, but he also knows he's putting his best stuff on tape. That matters. And when it comes down to those final roster decisions, it's not about who's the youngest or flashiest. It's about who gives you the best chance to win now. He's 27. That's not ancient, but in prospect years, it's definitely up there. Doesn't matter. Not in this scenario. This isn't about development anymore. This isn't about upside. This is about who can give you steady, reliable depth behind DK Metcalf. Especially if you're still waiting on Calvin Austin, still unsure about Roman Wilson, and still deciding whether Gabe Davis can even hold up physically. So no, Rock Taylor not making it, or not looking like he's going to make it, isn't some massive injustice. It's not personal. It's not about the name or the highlight clips. It's about the day-to-day performance, and in that setting, the team had better options. So yeah, it stings when a guy like Rock Taylor doesn't make it. It always does. But if you're trying to build a team that can compete, really compete, then you've got to keep the best football players. Not the best stories. Not the best names. The best players. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Hill's arrival, if confirmed, represents not just a strategic play to bolster the offense, but a symbolic statement that the Steelers are willing to invest at an unprecedented level to reclaim their dominance. Analysts are dissecting every angle. The potential impact on quarterback dynamics, the ways defenses will scramble to contain his unparalleled agility, and the ripple effects this signing might create across the league. There's talk of sponsorship deals, merchandising booms, and a surge in ticket sales, all tied to the aura that Hill brings wherever he steps on the field. Every corner of the Steelers organization, from coaching staff to scouting departments, is reportedly abuzz with the implications, balancing excitement with cautious optimism. Rumors suggest that behind closed doors, internal discussions are already underway, planning offensive schemes specifically designed to exploit Hill's unique skill set. The Steelers, long celebrated for their physicality and strategic consistency, may be entering a new era, and Hill is positioned at the center of this potential revolution. The timing of this supposed signing is equally intriguing. feeding speculation about the Steelers' long-term vision and immediate championship ambitions. Industry insiders have been cryptically hinting at a transformative acquisition for weeks, but the mention of Tyreek Hill has sent shockwaves through social media channels, sports forums, and NFL podcasts. Fans are dissecting every possible angle, debating how Hill's integration could affect the balance between veteran leaders and emerging talent on a roster. Observers note that the Steelers, traditionally conservative and high-profile signings, may be signaling a shift toward an aggressive approach, prioritizing marquee talent capable of instantly altering the competitive landscape. Hill's speed, agility, and field awareness are legendary, and his presence could demand a complete reimagining of the Steelers' offensive playbook. Coaches are rumored to be considering creative formations and specialized packages designed to maximize his deep threat potential. Meanwhile, skeptics question how such a massive signing might impact team chemistry, salary cap flexibility, and the distribution of targets among existing stars. Despite these uncertainties, the excitement is palpable. Market analysts are already forecasting a spike in merchandise revenue, ticket demand, and digital engagement, all fueled by the mere possibility of Hill donning the black and gold. Conversations in sport bars, online comment threads, and private league meetings are dominated by the same refrain. If Hill is indeed joining the Steelers, the NFL landscape might never be the same. Beyond the tactical and financial dimensions, Hill's rumored arrival ignites a wave of narrative possibilities that fans and media are already savoring. Imagine the explosive first drives, the highlight reel touchdowns, and the dramatic momentum swings that could define the Steelers' next season. Pundits speculate endlessly about matchups against division rivals, the way cornerbacks might adjust, and how opposing defenses will need to rethink every schematic approach. The chatter isn't limited to XS and OS. The human drama captures imaginations as well, with stories of locker room leadership, veteran mentorship, and the magnetic personality Hill brings to a team environment. Sources hint at excitement building among teammates, who reportedly view Hill as a transformative figure capable of inspiring a new level of effort and cohesion. Analysts are drawing parallels to historic signings in NFL history, comparing the potential cultural impact to moves that have shifted entire franchises' trajectories. Rumors of private training sessions, clandestine meetings with coaches, and even off-season bonding activities have added layers of intrigue to the unfolding story. The Steelers' fan base, long characterized by loyalty and passion, is reportedly engaging in feverish speculation about jersey numbers, potential touchdown celebrations, and a media frenzy that will inevitably accompany such a high-profile presence. The buzz surrounding Hill transcends mere performance metrics. It reflects a broader fascination with legacy, ambition, and the transformative potential of singular talent within a storied organization. Financially, the stakes of Hill's rumored signing are enormous, and industry insiders are dissecting every conceivable implication. Reports suggest that the deal may redefine salary benchmarks for wide receivers, with potential incentives, signing bonuses, and contract structures designed to reward both on-field performance and marketability. Economists and sports business analysts are already projecting the revenue impact on ticket sales, merchandising, broadcast ratings, and local economic activity, with speculation that Hill's presence could trigger record-breaking figures in several sectors. Even casual observers are debating whether this financial commitment signals a broader trend in the Steelers' approach to free agency, suggesting a willingness to prioritize marquee talent over long-term cap flexibility. Discussions are rife about the strategic deployment of Hill's brand, from national advertising campaigns to social media initiatives, potentially amplifying the Steelers' profile in ways previously unseen. Rumors of preemptive sponsorship negotiations, corporate partnerships, and fan engagement initiatives highlight the multifaceted nature of this signing, suggesting that the move could resonate far beyond the football field. Industry insiders suggest that executives are weighing every possible outcome, including how the deal could influence team morale, attract additional talent, and reposition the Steelers within the hierarchy of NFL franchises. While official confirmation remains pending, The magnitude of the speculation underscores the sense of anticipation and the perception that Hill's addition could represent a transformative moment in professional football history, reshaping both competitive dynamics and the cultural footprint of the Steelers organization. Meanwhile, fan reaction continues to surge in intensity, blending exhilaration with a touch of skepticism as the rumor evolves into what many are calling the most electrifying off-season story in recent memory. Across social media platforms, forums, and fan gatherings, conversations revolve around projections for Hill's statistical contributions, his chemistry with the quarterback, and the potential for record-setting plays that could dominate highlight reels for years. Bloggers and podcasters speculate endlessly on hypothetical scenarios, imagining deep bombs down the sideline, clutch third-down receptions, and game-winning touchdowns that could define the team's narrative. Local businesses, anticipating increased attendance and engagement, reportedly are already preparing for a spike in traffic, merchandise sales, and fan interactions, while sports betting communities are adjusting odds to reflect the potential impact of Hill's rumored presence. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.